Fantastic friends. Welcome to Unstoppable Progress. Is that the name of it?
That's what you called it.
Yeah.
I called it the 5 a.m. architecture.
Yeah, so the 5 a.m. architecture. ChatGPT did name this class for him originally.
Notebook did.
Nope, but the notebook changed it. So yeah. I'm thinking we may talk about AI a little bit during this, but this is not about AI. And everybody who's here may not know what we're about to talk about unless you keep up on the Survival Podcast, and then he's seeded this. Yeah. So Jack Spirko is the host of the Survival Podcast, which is a podcast that's been around for
18 years.
18 years. Nice. What are we doing for your 20th anniversary?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Some kind of big ass party.
So if you want a mentor in Jack, you can listen to his podcast. That's part of why he does it, I'm sure. You can take his AI course. And that's like having him do business consulting. I will tell you, as somebody who took it, having a full-time job and keeping up with it's hard if you invest the time you should in to get the results you want. If you just put the prompts in and whatever, you can keep up with it. And what the approach I took when I did that, when I took the course, was I don't have to keep up with the class, but I have to do a certain amount every week. And then if I get time on the weekend, put more time in to do some catch up. But if I don't catch up, don't stress about that part. Just keep doing it in order. Read the conversation of your classmates, and you'll be like, oh, there was that thing a week ago, and I'm a week behind. So, and it is a transformational course.
Thank you.
So that's pretty awesome. But he's had another transformation recently, and I noticed it right away. Didn't know what it was, and then his wife told on it because I'm friends with Dorothy. And I thought, well, at the spring workshop, we're doing this cool stuff with soil, and we're talking about some mental health and energy things and defense and how to tap into your creativity in a way that's productive. But how do you transform? Let's talk about that.
Okay. Just ignore that margin. I'm not going to try to figure out how to fix it so nothing goes wrong. Anyway, I've always been an early riser. And before this started, I was still getting up at 6 in the morning. I've been doing that, ever since I walked away from corporate America. But when I was originally getting up super early when I started my show, for those who don't know, I did it for 18 months in my car. In 12 months, I was ready to walk away. I had a conversation with my senior partner, and he asked me, he said, I've been good to you. I've been with him for 5 years. And he said, will you stay for 6 more months? And I did. And I did the thing that he wanted me to do. And then we came to the end of that year, and I said, I'm out of here. And he said, well, what about this one? No, we did that already. And I made that clean break, and I went on with my life. But during that period of time, during those 18 months, I was getting up at 4 or 4:30 in the morning. But there was a difference. I got up early just so I could work. I did not get up early for me. And that was the big transformation in this. And what I want you to understand, because Nicole used that word, it's a powerful word, transformation. And when you talk to people about self-improvement, when you talk to people about transformation, they often feel like you're recommending like mental therapy for them with some therapist they're going to lay on a couch with. And like, well, I don't need help. And so what I want you to start out with the concept that you don't have to have anything wrong with you to want to be better. And winners never get to a point where they don't want to be better. Leaders never get to a point where they don't want to be better than they are. They're always improving. I can't remember the guy that said it, but there's a quote. I think it was Jack Welch that said it. Once you're ripe, you rot. That's the only place to go. You think about a piece of fruit on a vine or a tree. The minute that's at peak ripe, you better pick it and do something with it, or it's going to rot. So when you think you're done, you're saying you're ripe. And you're setting yourself up for rot. I'm going to be 54 years old this year, and we're going to talk a little bit about affirmations today, but I'm still using one of my daily affirmations in the mornings with curiosity and wonder is one of the things I want to keep in my life. That's why if you guys tune in, like one day he's talking about this shit, and the next day he's talking about that, and then somebody asks a question, he goes, I don't know about that, and a month later I'm presenting it. Because once that curiosity pulls me, I want to go into it full tilt. Try to stay in touch with this reality. However old you are, at one time, you were the youngest person in the world for at least a second. Do you ever think about that? There was a day when you arrived here, and at that moment, you were the youngest person in the world. And today, you're however old you are. There's people in here who are in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, their 70s. You're still that person. You're still a 5-year-old. You're still the 10-year-old you. You're the 15-year-old you. You're all of those yous. Don't try to bury them and push them away just because now I'm mature. They still have lessons to teach you. The goal of the 5 a.m. routine is not to fix the flaw. What you're doing is you're engineering a higher operational floor in your life. My next book coming out that's going to be about AI, and that's what it's all about, though, is raising your floor of performance. So what your floor of performance is what you often hear from tactical guys like Joe, that, hey, when 5 guys kick your room in, you're not going to perform at your optimal level. You're going to perform at your level of training, your baseline. But you should take that approach, that tactical approach, into all the aspects of your life that matter. Raise that performance floor. And what we're really doing here, I call this bolting time onto the front. I'm going to give you a couple books that I read about got this from Jake on. But I've kind of created my own version of it. And the entire point is, I don't care what time you get up, okay? But I want you to have an hour where people leave you to help, where nobody talks to you, nobody competes for your time. And I'll give you the things that I do and how I've adapted these 2 books into my life. You do it however you want. And then the one book is much more flexible about that concept, and I like that flexibility. I'm going to give you some exercises today for the exercise portion. One, just walking but breathing differently. One, doing push-ups, but it can be anything. But it has to have that ability to just not be disrupted. So that's going to have a lot to do with, like, when does your wife wake up or your husband wake up? When do your kids wake up? When do people start pulling at you? And if you can't do an hour, do a half an hour. Do something, all right? So we have that time for ourselves. Then we move into the rest of our day, our operations, our email fires, and other priorities. We have this just for us. Have you ever heard anybody say, I'm working on myself?
Yep.
Right? Usually it's bullshit, isn't it?
Yep.
Right? When somebody tells me that, what I say? That's awesome. That's great for you. When they tell me how wonderful they think they are for it, I say, okay, what exactly are you doing? And they usually get pissed. All right? Because what working on myself means is I'm not doing a fucking thing. Okay? And because I'm not doing anything, I'm making up some shit to claim that I'm working on myself, right? And it doesn't matter if you're asking about their social life, their professional life, it's the same thing. How about you work on yourself every day? And that doesn't mean you have to stop doing the things that are important to you. So these are some morning frameworks, and I'll kind of tell you how I've adapted them. The 5 a.m. club, again, this is what Jake told me about. God help me. But really, Jake's a good man. He really is. He's always been a good man, and he's been an annoying pain in the ass, and his pain in the ass level has actually been going downhill for years. See, but he can't. He can't. Anyway, your half-life is still like 1,000 years in the future. But at my last workshop, I realized he had been there like a day and a half, and I hadn't once yelled at him. I might have picked on him, but I hadn't yelled at him. And I walked up to him and I said, Jake, and after all the times I've messed with this guy, I had to be clear. I was like, I want you. I'm not messing with you. I'm not pulling on you. Like, I'm not doing anything like that. You are, honest to God, a better Jake Robinson in every way possible. What are you doing? And he said, I joined the 5 a.m. club. What the fuck is that? He's telling me I do these 3 things, and I'm like, okay, I don't have time for this. I got 80 people at my house like Nicole's dealing with right now. I, on Sunday morning, ordered this book after I looked it up, saw it was a thing. I was in the middle of another book, so I looked up a YouTube thing, and I found that's basically what it is. You take your first hour, 20 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of reflection, 20 minutes of learning. And you can move those up and down in the 5 a.m. club. It's usually exercise, learning, reflection. But you can change that order. When I got the audiobook, I wanted to punch Jake again. I don't like the book at all. I'm being honest. Like, I love the method. I don't like the book. The book spends 80% of its time before it tells you what I just told you now, what the actual 5 a.m. club is. It's written as a narrative. The characters are kind of hokey, but it was solid. But when I got done with it, this book, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, was recommended as additional reading. Found out it was 6 years before the 5 a.m. club that it came out. He was a guy who went through a lot of hell. He was in an accident that almost killed him. Long road to recovery. He eventually ran an ultra marathon, which is 2 marathons back to back. And this was part of how he did it. He developed what he called the Savers method, which is 6 things that all great people in the world have done some of them, and he combined them together. Silence is that meditation time. Affirmation that we'll talk about, that's what you think of, like setting your goals for the day and setting your baseline expectations for yourself for the day. Visualization, seeing what you're going to do. Exercise, reading, and scribe. That's your journaling. And his method was, this is what I do in that order, and I do all these things, and I give 10 minutes to each one, and I do that every morning. But you pick and choose and make your own. Fit it to your life. And he got very, very flexible with it. So the universal truth is it doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be exactly 5 a.m. And you don't have to do all the things. Exactly why you do it is less important than the fact that you do it. I was up till after midnight last night. I probably drank more Manhattans than I should have, which is typical of a workshop. I gave myself permission today to sleep till 7 o'clock. At 5:15, I looked at my phone and said, shit, I'm not going to sleep. And I got up and I went into my routine. And then I had to fight the coffee machine. So we'll talk about the coffee machine in a minute. It's actually kind of important. But what I got out of Elrod's book, and he goes into this huge, long, laborious thing that I didn't want to do for the night routine. I think he just wanted his second edition book to be bigger. But I did take some things from that. And that is like how you go to bed is actually important as to how you wake up. So I broke a lot of these rules here last night. But 3 hours before bed, I stop eating or drinking anything other than just maybe water if I'm thirsty. And you'll find you don't drink that much water, so you don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning having to pee. 2 hours, at that point, when I know I'm about 2 hours from bed, 0 social media. And when I say that, I mean I don't look at email. My phone is there for setting an alarm only at that point, or if somebody dies and I need to know about it. Like, I'm done. It's gone. About 15 minutes before bed, I go and I make sure that if I didn't do it this morning, then I go ahead and do it. I set up my coffee maker. I learned about this coffee maker I have from John Dowie. It's about $100. It makes really good coffee. It's not as good as the Cold Space machine, but it always works. And it doesn't throw error codes at me and shit. And I don't care what you buy, honestly, but what I did, because I love coffee in the morning, is I made sure the coffee maker I bought had a thing where you could program it to what time it's supposed to go off. So since I get up at 5 a.m., I set it to go off at 4:45. So way out in the other side of the house, I hear boop, 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 when it starts to make coffee. And if I do feel like I don't really want to get out of bed that day, I think to myself, you dirty bastard, you're letting that beautiful hollow roast coffee go to waste. You're letting it sit on there and cook down. How horrible you are. You better get up there and do it, right? And then at sleep time, I will read a fiction book because I am wired to think about business, opportunity on a constant basis. That's not even to do with this. That's a personality trait. And I need that shit to shut off so I can sleep. And that routine got me to that point where I could go to sleep. But this is the big thing I took from Hal Elrod's book, again, which is The Miracle Morning, is when I go to sleep, I think to myself, I cannot wait to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm going to get 7, 8, whatever hours of sleep it is. That's going to be plenty. And I'm going to hit the day. I'm going to have a great first hour to my day. That sounds hokey. But if you've ever had a fight with like your spouse or like a girlfriend or something like that, and you do that right before you go to bed and you don't sleep well, the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning is what? The last thing they said to you and you said to them. Now let's go back and find that 5, 6, 7-year-old kid that you were. You didn't want to get up at 5 in the morning when you're 5 or 6 or 7, did you? What time did you get up on Christmas morning?
Valid.
Right? Some of you probably were like me, and like at 3:30 you were sneaking out, like checking shit and then go back to bed so you didn't get your ass beat or whatever. But like, right? But nothing could keep you because what did you think? So, have all this stuff. What was the first thing you thought when you woke up on Christmas morning?
Did Santa come?
Yeah. You might, and if you're out of school, right, on Christmas Eve, you probably slept till like 10 o'clock and then got up and watched cartoons. And then the next day, you probably slept till like noon because your parents wanted you to and didn't wake you up and you were tired from the day before. But on that one day, you got up. What was the difference? Biologically, you were the same. You set an expectation for yourself. This is one of the most valuable things, if you want to adopt this into your life, that you can do, is just that. if you ignore all of my other stuff, because when I started doing it, that's all I did. I said, I'm going to test this. And I did have to get up in the morning to pee because I didn't do this. And so I get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, I got 2 more hours of sleep before I get up and get to do this. And I went, normally I would be like, damn it, I only have 2 hours left. It was absolutely transformational.
Yeah, don't look at your watch if you get up either.
Yeah. So this is kind of my morning cycle. Ignition, coffee. That's my ignition. I'm not giving that up. Physical exercise. I do physical exercise first. And the reason I do physical exercise first, if I do silence first, I'm going to go back to sleep. Right? I'm going to sit there and meditate 5 seconds after I got out of a warm bed. Right? The dog's going to come cuddle up with me, and I'm going to go to sleep. So I do my physical exercise. That can be intense or mild, depending on what I want to do that day. It could be a walk. It could be a soft martial arts kata, like a Tai Chi kata. It could be working on the heavy bag, which will be an intense workout. Anybody here that's ever really worked out on a heavy bag, it is one of the most intensive workouts you can get. If you're pissed at somebody, you get the function stack. Like you bring a permaculture principle into violence there, right? Or some empty lung breathing exercises, and that's where I'm going to need my 2 demo dummies. So I'm going to start out with Joel, and I need Jake up here too. And I want Jake to know this is some things I did learn from the Sistema people, right? Sonny Pazikas, Valery Azanoff, Vladimir up in Canada. But you're not going to get hurt. It's going to be okay, Jake. I'm not going to hit you. I'm not even going to touch you. I might touch your shoulder. I'm going to start with Joel, and his is going to be harder than yours. So by the time I'm done with him, you probably won't be afraid. I'm going to ask you to walk. You're going to do what you're doing right now. You're just going to breathe differently. You just stand there and look important. All right, Joel. I want you to get down for us. And I want you to give me a military-grade single push-up in whatever cadence you want, any speed you want. Okay, perfect. All right, now get up so you can rest because this is going to get different. Okay. Now, what I want you to do now is I want you to give me another push-up. Breathe however you want. I want you to count in your head, and I want you to go down 5 seconds, up 5 seconds. Before you do it, I'm not going to count for him because he needs to learn how to do this in his head himself. I'm sure this is going to be not a problem. Go ahead and do that for me. Okay, take a rest. Okay, now if I had you do that over 30 seconds, it'd be really hard, wouldn't it?
It gets hard, yeah.
It gets hard, but you do that already, don't you?
Yeah, I do that.
Yep. It's kind of a move. It's like almost like isometrics combined with slow movement as you slow it down. What I want you to do this time. So normally when we do push-ups, we're bench pressing, we do anything, we learn to breathe. The breathing is actually one of the core components to things like powerlifting. And so you're coming down. When you come down, you inhale. Blow that bar up, right? So whatever speed you kind of match your breath to that bar for that power. That is how you become better at lifting because it actually helps you lift. But when you want to become better at something, what do you do to become better at it?
Make it harder.
Make it harder. So this is what I want you to do this time, okay? I want you to do a push-up like that, okay? I want you to start in the front leaning rest position, up. I want you to take a huge breath in, as much air as you possibly can, okay? I want you to blow every single bit of it out till there's not any air in your lung. And with no air in your lungs, I want you to execute that same 5 second down, 5 second up. Now, can you hold your breath for 10 seconds?
I think so.
So you probably won't crack your skull, all right?
If I'm not doing a push-up,
okay, let's see if you can do that.
All right, and then breathe back in on the top.
When you get to the top, stop. And when you take that breath in, I want you to do a 5 count in and a 5 count out. You don't have to do a push-up this time, though.
Okay.
Everybody does it the first time.
I realized as soon as I started breathing in, I'm like, I went too fast at the beginning.
All right, you went too fast, right? So it takes focus. Now, what we're actually doing is we're not just improving the physical result here. Breathing is something you don't even think about. It's an involuntary process. We're turning an involuntary process into something we consciously control. When I learned this first from Valery Azanoff, he taught me how to do it just while walking, which is what we're going to do with Jake. And my partner, Neil, was like, this bollocks, this bullshit. And I said, Neil, he's telling you to take control of something that you take for granted because most people take control of nothing. And Val goes, thank you for saying that. Right. So then all of a sudden Neil's listening, right? So now I want you to try it again, okay? But I want you to do one normal.
Okay.
At the top, I want you to stop, create an empty lung condition for yourself, and do another one in that 5 seconds.
Okay.
And when you come to the top, go ahead and 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out and see if you can do it. And what will often happen is that 5 seconds in, you'll get control of. And when you do, that air will just blow out of you. See if you can control it for yourself.
Okay.
All right. That was really good. Now tomorrow morning, do 5 of those like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Without getting. Now, what you'll find is the more intense you make it, the longer you go, the harder the control will become. And you will generally, if you're in shape anyway, get to the point where you can control the intake. But then your mind is going, something's wrong. This isn't right. And so you'll breathe out faster than you want to. You'll lose control of the outward breath because you want to take another inward breath. There's no biological reason at that time differential that anybody needs to do that unless you have like some sort. And please, consult your doctor, all that stuff. If you have a breathing problem, this is a different thing. But if you are otherwise healthy, there's no reason you can't handle that level of oxygen deprivation. Now, what if you're Jake? You want to do that?
No.
Especially in front of people for the first time?
I'm doing
No.
some squats. But...
All right. So one of the things I do is take a walk.
Okay.
But I walk with that technique. I'm going to start you because I want you to learn how to do it with 3-second intervals.
Okay.
So all I want you to do right now, I want you to come over here with your back to this. Don't hit the table or I will punch you. Okay. I just want you to walk that way and you go as far as you need to do this, where, get to the end and then turn around and come back. And all I want you to do is breathe in for 3 steps and out for 3 steps and in 3 steps and out 3 steps. That's all I want you to do. You don't have to do any empty lung yet.
Okay.
Go ahead and do that for me. Come back doing the same thing. And this actually can be harder than what Joel did. If you're good at push-ups, because you're now doing something, you're doing 2 things that are generally autonomic. You just do them without thinking, okay? Now what I want you to do, and this is why I didn't start you at 5. This is actually trickier because it's not just a deprivation thing where you're physically, it's that there's a mental thing that's going to happen when you do this. And if I start you at 5, it'll probably never work. Because for you to have the empty lung condition, you actually have to get all the air out. So you have to do it within the time. You have to take it back in within the time. So what I want you to do this time, I want you to walk just like you did. 3 in, 3 out. When you get to 3 out, leave it out. 3 steps with it out. 3 steps in, 3 steps out, and do that till you get back here.
Just one breath.
No. Walk 1, 2, 3, breath in.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, breath out.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, no breath.
Okay.
1, 2, 3 in.
Okay.
1, 2, 3 out, and repeat that pattern until you get back to this spot.
Okay.
Watch what happens. We should have wired him with a mic so we know if he lies. Okay.
Right.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I think I did.
When you were on your exhale, did you exhale all the air before you took your breath in? Was your lungs empty even on the non-empty lung run? So in other words, what I'm saying is when you did 3 seconds and you're out,
Yeah.
do you get all the air out?
Yeah.
And do you not? And do you match the intake to full capacity of your lungs on 3 seconds in?
Well, you're making me doubt it, but
I want to let you can go sit down. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. If you try that at 5 seconds, it'll really trip you up more. And what you can do just to learn the technique, even before you adapt it to push-ups, I picked Joel because he's in good shape. Just walk with the breathing in and out for 5-second intervals. Breathe in 5 seconds, out 5 seconds, in 5 seconds, out 5 seconds. And when you're ready, then go ahead and do 5 without breathing. Then do 10 without breathing. And do it until you fail. Do it until, and what'll probably happen is like I said, you'll control that inward breath for 5 seconds, and then you'll, because you want that next breath, even though you don't need it yet. No, not yet. End of the presentation. So that's just, I wanted to give you something beyond just go work out. I wanted to give you a different technique. Then this is kind of what I took from both programs together. I do reflection, and while I'm reflecting is actually when I do journaling. I don't sit down and write at that point. I sit there and I'm reflecting. I'm usually listening to music, like classical music. I got the dog with me. I listen to a dude named Paul McCartney, genius marketer, 70s music for dogs. He takes like Beatles stuff, Paul McCartney stuff, other classic rock, the Eagles, does piano music, and marketing. I can't even find the guy's real name. Brilliant. Three albums, available on Apple Music and all that. Alignment, these are the affirmations and input. That is, I listen mostly to audiobooks instead of actually reading because that just works better for me. You can read if you want to. I like to be in the dark during that period of time. I can't read in the dark. But I want to talk a little bit about affirmations because that's another thing that people get wrong. Like they picture like some yoga voice, like somebody chick that should be on NPR. Envision your body opening to the universe and a golden light. And I actually don't have any problem with that, but I also know a lot of people won't do it because of that. And that's not my style. So I think any affirmation is better than no affirmation. And you should find the style that works for you. But I want you to think about a statement that you probably have heard, especially you've seen on TV with reruns. I am the greatest, right? Who was that? Cassius Clay, who later became Muhammad Ali. Most people heard that and thought, what an arrogant man. Or even, he can back it up, but there's no need to go telling people that. He wasn't telling you that. He was so convinced of his affirmations that he spoke them publicly. You don't have to do that. But it reframes what an affirmation is. When Ali said this, the public heard ego. They were wrong. It was not a brag. It was a structural tool for reality manipulation. It was an affirmation. And that reframes a lot of things. And to me, the problem I have with a lot of the golden light stuff and all is it's rooted in delusion or fantasy. I am going to become a millionaire. There's no structure to that, okay? It is focused on comfort, which means someday in the future, which means it actually can be dangerous. I don't need to worry about building my wealth right now because I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 45. Bro, you're 44 and you have no money left from payday, right? Target, it's fixated entirely on the final goal. I will be rich. Where you're going. The way that we change that is affirmations must be rooted in objective truth. What you're saying must be true, not a someday. So that involves, we're not going to get deep into it, but something called SMART goals, which are basically interim goals. If I want to be wealthy, then I need to do these things. This week, I need to save this much money. If I want my new book published by fall of 2026, I need to write this many chapters a week so I can have it to the editor and the formatter on time to get it done. And that is an objective affirmation. Today, I will write half a chapter. That happens or it doesn't happen. It's binary. I execute it. It's done or it's not. Affirmations must lead to action, not a comforting someday. And affirmation should focus on the activity that achieves the goal, not the goal itself. Focus on the step. So I do that every morning, and I only do that for maybe 2 minutes. And I have other things like I want to be curious and things like that. Those are more like my positive traits. But I'll tell you something. Who here has a thing they want to stop doing? Anything you want to stop doing. You have a habit and you want to break it. Okay, if your affirmation is, I will not do the thing, you are going to do the thing. Watch this. Do not think of a blue elephant.
Purple.
No, it was in my head right after you said it.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're
Now,
not
this-
thinking of something, you're thinking about not thinking about it.
The human mind cannot process the negative. It has to process the positive. You have to replace something. So here's a scary thought. Maybe AI's problems actually make it more human. How do you get rid of an EM dash? Where's Letty?
Replace it with ellipses, commas, semicolons, or whatever.
Is that not a positive affirmation? You will do this thing instead of that thing? Okay. So that's how you have to come at your affirmations when you're breaking a habit. Now, executing a pivot. I have maybe more flexibility than some of you guys that have a W-2 job or something. I actually have turned my 1 hour ritual into a 2 hour ritual, but the second hour is for work. It's just not for my primary business. It's for writing my books. So I execute this ritual, and wherever I'm at in it, even if I feel that maybe there's something else I wanted to do, at 6 o'clock, it's a hard stop. And it would be for you if you had to go to work or get the kids up or whatever else. And then I go into writing my book. I don't do the show content till the other side of 7 a.m. Notebook LM, you're wrong. But how would it know that? But at 7 a.m., I have an alarm set on my phone, a second alarm. And it's put your shit away and get on with your day, right? Now I have to like start putting the show outline together and get ready to go. Here's where that led to. If you actually think about it, I used to get up at 6. And I pretty much would get a cup of coffee, check some email, and get ready to work on the show. And so technically I lost an hour. Okay, because that hour between 6 and 7, I'm using it to write my books now. I'm not using it to work on the show. So I'm getting up an hour earlier, but I'm starting my workflow day an hour later. But now I am at 9 a.m. where I was usually at 11 a.m. It's not exactly, but it's pretty much the same every day. 9 a.m., I'm like, holy crap, I'm ready to go live. That's why a lot of times now you see live at 11 instead of 12. I go out and work in the garden for 2 hours and kind of just go over all the things I did so that I'm a better podcaster for you guys when I come back. So I'm putting more output. And if you look at it that way, I'm giving up another 2 freaking hours. Now, here's the thing. Employees that want more breaks always say the more rested we are, the more work we'll do. That's a myth. This is a structural formula. This is a functional process. And functional processes lead to predictable results. Now, I'm not going to tell you it was this tight when I started. It took me a couple of weeks to get into it. You know how long it takes to really form a new habit is about a month. And if it's that new habit is breaking a bad habit, what nobody tells you is the phases of it. It takes about 10 days before it stops hurting. It takes about another 10 days till you think you made it. And if in that period is a dangerous period, because I'll take a day off, and you're not ready, it takes about a full month. That second 10 days is where we first we eliminated the bad, we instituted something new, and then we develop resilience, like developing resistance from a disease, because that's what a bad habit can be in your life, is a disease. Okay. And this is kind of how I feel my morning looks. So a Notebook LM nailed this, right? Maybe I was more specific in my outline, but this is what it was like waking up and ramping up into workflow, kind of like peak, and then down toward the end, right? Where now, of course, it ain't, yeah, that's noon. So now it's like this immediate peak and straight across. I realized I was hyper-focused. And I'm like an ADD person, right? That's like Nicole says the reason I can't find shit is that AD disappears, right?
The ADHD eraser.
The ADHD eraser, right? And so normally what they would do to a kid like that today, right, is pump one of these drugs into them. And I'm like, this is what that must be like. When I start writing my book for that day, it is full productivity, full speed, haul ass all the way. And that's why I have to break it off. But then that state is reached. And when I go into show production, that state is constant all the way through. And when I get done with the show today, I have literally done a full day. And usually by the time I produce the show, put out the newsletter, all that, it's around 2 o'clock or 2:30. I have it to do whatever I want to now. Now, I know a lot of you guys don't have that flexibility, but put that into your workday, whatever that workday is. And then you decide how you use the time that you build for yourself and the productivity you build for yourself. And what did it result in for me? I can't tell you what it will result in for you because I'm not you. But once I put this in and that output engine in, I had decided to start writing Laws of Life 2. And I had started that in the summer leading up to that. I wrote a couple chapters. I went into full stall mode. I went a couple months. I wrote nothing. I went on a cruise with my wife to Alaska. By the third day of the cruise, I was totally chill. I was sitting on the patio, the deck that you have, like your private little area. I'm looking at this gorgeous scenery of Alaska going by on the coastline. The water's this amazing Arctic blue. And I felt so at peace. I wrote a chapter. I wrote an entire chapter in about 30 minutes because that's about how long it takes a wife to get ready to go down the hall and get something to drink, right? I wrote 3 chapters on the cruise, and I got home, and I'm like, okay, I fixed it. And then some of you know what happened to me last year with my event. We decided to do it at a larger venue, and I lost the venue, and it caused a whole series of chaos cascades, and I lost money, which never makes me happy. So I didn't write during that period of time at all because I had all these distractions in my life and I couldn't focus to write. Jake drops it on me Monday morning after the workshop. I got up and wrote a chapter of it. I wrote that chapter so well, I went back and started from the top of the book and retrofitted things into it all the way up to as far as I was and changed the formula of the chapters so that there's new things in the new book that I don't have time to tell you about right now. I'll tell you if you want to know later outside. The book is twice as long as my first book. I wrote it in 20% of the total time. It was so much better that instead of just fixing Laws of Life 1, because yes, there's a lot of problems in there, and if you care to know the actual mechanism, again, I'll tell you offline. I went, no, I can't just fix it. I have to take the formula that I developed here and put it into here, and I've got to do that in a way that makes these a true cohesive set that I'll be proud of. I added 25,000 words to it. I made the new edition in 2 months with this process. Out of it, 2 entirely new books were mapped. I've already written 4 chapters of another book called Me, Myself, and AI. I had a vision of a trilogy of books that was going to be Laws of Life 1 and 2, and a book that it's codenamed for right now, North Star. When I came up with Me, Myself, and AI, and I realized how hot this space was right now, and this book, while it will be a book to drive you in your professional success, is really a book to drive the kind of personal success we're talking today. It will be equally applicable to an entrepreneur, to an employee, to somebody running a little homestead, anything like that, but using AI to do it. And I realized the architecture I'd already built for North Star was like a plug-in back into it. It would automate the process that I've used to develop myself over the years. And so I punted it and worked that in. But that was an output between November and now. Working 1 hour a day in the morning that I was able to do that. And the difference in this book and this book, not for the typos and shit, this book made me embarrassed of where that book was. That's how much better it was. I thought that when I did this, I would be faster. I was right. I thought it would be easier. It wasn't. It was more mentally challenging, but I used AI to help me write it. So there's your little bit of AI built into that. Here's my question for you today. Do you value yourself enough to become a better you? Are you worth it? Because if you're not, this is just extra work in your life. If you actually value yourself so much and you feel like I'm not fucking done yet. I'm 54. I could have retired 10 years ago. I'm not fucking done yet. And if I'm going to keep going, then I'm going to keep getting better, or it's not worth doing. What have I always told you guys? This is listening from the very beginning. Your mission's not over if you can do what?
Fog a mirror.
Fog a mirror. That is the litmus test for whether you're done or not yet. There's a lot of different religious beliefs in this room. I have my own. You know, what happens after we die, I don't know, but I believe there's a plan. And I believe that if you have not been called to whatever's next yet, then you have something to do here or you wouldn't fucking be here. So do you value yourself enough to take these steps? I challenge you to do it. And if you're like, I don't have an hour, what did I say? Do a half hour. Do 10 minutes. This is what happens, though. Like Hal Elrod, he has pretty big communities. People have been doing this for 15 years. People that start 5 minutes, end up doing 10, end up doing 20, end up doing 30. Let me tell you, once you've done it for 30 days in a row, you know what happens when you don't do it? You get pissed off. I missed it. The day you let yourself sleep in, and your wife, you didn't know, had to get up to go get the kids. And then you're only like 20 minutes into it, and she gets out of bed and goes to the bathroom. You're like, oh, okay. And then comes out, you're like, damn it. Not that I don't want her there, not that I don't love her, but now that whole thing that I bolted on is gone, and it's too cold to go outside. Or you break the drink rule, and you drink a little more than you should, and you wake up and you're not able to focus on your game. You don't think, like when you're a kid, you're like, fuck, kid, I'm talking like 20s, going to bars, like, man, I got a hangover, I don't want to do this at like 5 o'clock at night. You're like, I'm going again, right? I don't mean that way you regret it. You feel like you cheated yourself, like you robbed something from yourself. When you start doing something in your life that when you cease doing it, you don't feel like something was taken for you. You feel like it was robbed from you. You found something valuable. That's what it is for me, and damn it. Thank you, Jake, because I would have never known about it if he didn't tell me. I'll take questions, whatever now.
I just got a comment to add to it. So I've done this a couple times. It is awesome. It is great, and I get pissed off every time it falls off. And I'm going back to do it now. But I have had a couple situations in terms of getting up you're used to. There's been a couple times I've done it where I'm just like, I'm gonna do it. I set my alarm an hour earlier, and I'm just jump into the schedule. But there's also been a couple times where it's like snooze, 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 snooze. Oh, it's normal wake up time. So what I did in those situations when I tried it a couple days in a row and I just wasn't happening is I went set the alarm 15 minutes earlier, and then I would get up that 15 minutes earlier because it's like, what am I going to do for 15 minutes? An hour of sleep sounds good. 15 minutes is like, I'm not even actually going to go back to sleep. And then once I was up at 15 minutes earlier, I backed it up another 15 minutes until I got to the hour. So that can be a helpful thing because I know
that's like a ratchet in reverse.
Yeah, when I first looked at getting up an hour earlier, I was totally overwhelmed. And if that's what you're thinking right now, it's like you can incrementally step that back, and even 5 or 10 minutes, but 15 minutes works pretty good.
I want to go ahead and talk about this just a second, though, since I'll come to you, Patrick. Right? I broke my own rule. I didn't run through that presentation before I did it, and I still finished 20 minutes early. So that's not,
you're
that's
fine.
not bad, right? So this is like one of the modifications to the book. This is actually from the second book. Every chapter after the law is given ends with a filter formula that's based on an acronym. So this chapter ends. This is chapter 4 of the second edition of book 1, the WISE method, how to know whose advice actually matters. And I won't read the whole paragraphs, but WISE is who has actually done it. So that law is to seek the advice of the wise, right? Is their competence proven? Like, have they not just have they done it, but like, was it a one-off, or do they have a track record of success specific to the situation? One of the biggest mistakes people make is they seek advice when people are really smart, but they don't know a damn thing about the thing that you're asking them about, and then they act like AI and invent an answer. But do you know why we really do it? Because if we want to do something that's kind of wild and crazy and we're not prepared for it, and we go to Uncle Dan and he's an aerospace engineer, and the whole family thinks he's the smartest guy in the family because he is, and he endorses our idea, then they all have to fall in line and support us on our stupid-ass decision that we're not ready to do yet. And if Dan tells you not to do it because you're a dumbass, you can say, what does Dan know about opening a restaurant? He's an aerospace engineer. It's a safe way to try to find an ally instead of get advice. A seasoned restaurant owner is not going to tell you that. He's going to tell you, go be a line cook and make sure you want to do this shit. And then evidence before opinion, right? So you want to look for evidence behind the advice being given. Competent people tend to explain why something works or fails based on experience. They point to outcomes, patterns, and lessons learned. This is the type of thing I'm saying got into the book because of this method. Anyway, Patrick, go ahead.
You talk about words of affirmation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And them being true. Something I got from Chad Wright, 3 of 7, is, like talking about, like when they're running and stuff, I never get tired. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily true, but if you say it and you believe it, it totally changes.
So that would be in the middle of an activity.
But kind of like getting up in the morning,
yeah.
If you can say to yourself, like, I don't want to get up tomorrow, you're setting yourself up for failure versus I'm excited about tomorrow and what I get to do and learn. And so I just...
Well, even if it's a really rotten, no good thing,
I'll get you, Jay.
You're going to have to do, you're getting that thing behind you that you didn't want to do. Like I had this week before the workshop, we were joking about it. I was eating frogs all morning, and it was a whole bunch of clerical stuff I didn't want to do, but I knew if I didn't do it before the workshop, there were going to be like late fees for not paying things, like all of the things that go wrong when you don't do that stuff. And so I just kept eating frogs, and I did look forward to that day because I knew by the end of the day I wasn't going to worry about any of that stuff anymore. Dead. And so it's not that I'm lying to myself and I really want to do all this clerical work, but I really do want to feel it feels like not to be worrying about are my taxes filed and all.
The goal was to clear the plate.
Yeah.
And so there were specific SMART goals you could set to clear that plate. And that's what I'm talking about from an affirmative standpoint in the morning is like if you're working on a longer goal, something that, like, I'll give you a little leak on North Star. North Star is based on the classic Masters star from art, and it's 8 goals that lead to the North Star, which you never reach. It's driving you forward. So if you actually reach what you put as your North Star goal, you make a new one. and go out. And then the SMART goals lead to each of the individual. So that's kind of what Nicole's saying. Jake, speak up. Speak up.
It took me 3 listening to that audio book before I really made the commitment. Because when I first read it, I was like, it sounds pretty good. I should probably do that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I go to bed at 1 o'clock. I go to bed at 2 o'clock. I don't have any kind of pattern. I read it, I listened to it again, and then by the 3rd time, I said, I'm going to do this. Now, the book says you need to do it 6 months before you really have it. And I put a 6-month date on the calendar, and when I decided to do it, I thought, well,
if you like hokey characters that say stupid shit, a ridiculous narrative with a murder chase scene in it that makes no sense whatsoever, and to be banged over the head with an inspirational quote every other paragraph, it is the book for you. And it's probably, if you think that's terrible, it's probably still worth at least listening to once. I think most people will get more out of Hal Elrod's book, though, personally.
okay, I don't know that I'm not going to get up at 5 a.m. if I went to bed at 2.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to start going to bed earlier before I try to get up.
Yep.
And I started going to bed at 11 and 10:30, and then when I made a decision, it was 9 o'clock. And I got up at 5. I got up immediately, did my 60 arm slings. I went and did my exercises, and then I went and Tai Chi stuff. Yeah.
I don't care. He's doing something.
I did my work. I wasn't reading books, hard books. I had a bunch of them that I thought, I need to read that. Now, every day, I read 30 to 45 minutes in a book. I'm listening to audio
we get it.
So,
You do the thing.
So I've tried to implement something like this 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Every single time I've managed to do it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then my kids get up early and disrupt me or get sick.
Sophie.
Or so again, this is not something you had to deal with directly, but you mentioned your wife getting up and doing things.
Yeah.
What is there any advice? Is there any thoughts on
if there's any predictability for that morning, do 15, 20 minutes and go earlier. Right. Or your kids are old enough to set an expectation, between 5 and 6, daddy is doing a thing that you're not allowed to interfere with. Go outside, make your exercise, taking a walk, get away from the house so that they're not there to get you. Do it in the backup bed of a pickup truck. If Dorothy's up, even if the weather's not that nice, I go out on my back deck and I do it outside and watch the sunrise as part of it. I take the dog with me and she sits in the papasan chair. And we listen up, and then she gets to hear it because I don't have my headphones on because I'm not going to bother my wife, and I'm outside. Adapt the situation around the problem instead of focusing on the problem. And the whole thing is, do you want it bad enough to make that adaptation? And if you lose a day of it, you're probably going to be okay. But you hit a magic 2 to 3 weeks. That's 21 days, right? You need at least 30, in my opinion, to anchor it into a point where you there. And I don't completely agree with it. It has to be 6 months, but I will tell you that when you get up to that point, that'll be when really, if you get knocked off for a couple of days, you will be able to get back on. Everybody's different, and there's kind of this middle ground where you're not strong enough yet. If somebody's going to get off a substance, say somebody's going to quit drinking, it takes a certain amount of time before they can be around other people drinking. They certainly can't be hanging out with their beer drinking friends, but people that are trying to get off a substance will literally just avoid maybe an event like this because everybody's drinking around them. And it may take a year or two before they're strong enough to not be tempted to fall back into it. It's the same thing.
what do you think about the low angle line?
Nope.
That kind of stuff.
John.
When I was planning my final escape from the corporate America prison camp,
Yep.
I had to get up early. I worked on the other side of Atlanta, so I had to drive through Atlanta traffic every day, which was a total disaster. It was bad in the morning. It was worse in the evening. So I didn't have time to be getting up at 5 a.m. to do this stuff because I was going back just to get to work. But at 5 o'clock, when all the corporate zombies left, I would just stay in my office because I knew if I left at 5 to get home, it was going to be a 2.5 hour drive.
Yep.
So I just stay in my office for another hour and a half or so. Everyone was gone.
Yep.
It was peaceful. I could do whatever I needed to do. And I could get home in 40. I still got home. I achieved something there.
See, and I think that would.
Find your space, I guess.
Yeah, no, and that would work, and I think that would be better than not doing it. I think there's something about that morning time. Anybody remember Benjamin Franklin, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. The origin of that quote is actually Aristotle. That's how old that wisdom is. And there's something about the stillness of the morning that makes it. But would I rather you do something rather than nothing? Absolutely. And if that's the time you have, then use it. But what do most people do when they take that hour? Veg out, go on social media, play video games, right? Whatever it is, you have to install a structure. And here's the thing, like a lot of people that are really smart think, since I'm really smart, I don't need a structure. The smarter you are, the more structure you need, because the more you're like a shiny thing. Oh, there's another shiny thing. I want both the shiny things. Oh, let me look at the shiny things. Let's research the shiny things. That's not what we're supposed to be doing with that time.
Stop watching me.
It's a superpower. It's a superpower, but the kryptonite for it is inside yourself. You have to put lead around the kryptonite that's inside your own body when you're that person.
And I want to actually hold on something here that you said to Matthew, which is your kids are old enough to know what's up.
Yeah.
When I saw Jack at my house the first morning, I could tell he didn't want a light turned on.
Yep.
And he did not want me to talk to him.
I had resting bitch face.
Except for he wanted me to make coffee happen because my machine hates
me. It's the third one that hates me too.
Yeah. So I just left him alone. And he came to me later in the day. It's like, sorry to seem like an asshole that I do this thing. I'm like, I know you do this thing. That's what he talks about. I don't care if you talk to me in the morning. So it's possible to exist with people if it's just like, open your mouth if you need to go to the hospital. But other than that, do not talk to me.
And I'll tell you when you know you really got it, when somebody does something that's not wrong and it still pisses you off because it's like today. I went off on myself in the chair and got away from everybody and just faced toward that side of your property because it's all beautiful. And like 5 seconds into it, over the music in my headphones, slap, slap, bang, 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 bang. Now he's not doing anything wrong. No, calm, centered, and peaceful. Listen to Paul McCartney, right? Who was somebody over here? Yeah, go ahead.
So when I was still in corporate jail before I retired, I was in sales, a district sales manager. We had sold our house, so I lost my gym. We moved into an apartment. I got a gym membership. I was at the gym at 4 a.m. to make that work. And my fear was I met a guy at the gym and we became gym buds and would help everybody. My fear is that morning that you wake up and like, I just don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
I knew if I didn't go, he was going to bust my chops.
Yeah.
Who's your accountability?
There was some peer pressure and accountability.
Likely in Me, Myself, and AI, one of the entities you build is an accountability partner, right? But I think that's very useful. But I want to be clear about this exercise thing. I am not saying that's all the exercise you need in your life. The exercise in your morning rituals has a functional purpose, and it is to help optimize that state of focus. And that's why it can be intense or it can be light, but it needs to be something. And again, personally for me, it's the first thing I do because it makes me not want to go back to sleep. Because otherwise I'll look like that. See? Not Patrick. The guy next to Patrick. He was completely out.
It's kind of like,
at least he looked like. I'm picking on you.
it's kind of like 75 hard, right?
Yeah.
Say just do something. So it might be aerobics for you, or it may be walking in the morning.
They can also.
Yeah, I mean the mornings when I get up and just take a walk around the property and maybe do some empty lung cadence and whatever. That's the afternoon that I'm going to go out there after I'm done with everything and beat the shit out of the heavy bag because some person annoyed me.
Stuff like get them started doing this too.
Yeah.
See some of the habits now, so they don't
Yeah.
do it later.
If you can get your family doing it together, it's great because everybody has to shut up because everybody's doing the thing that requires shutting up. This worked for Dorothy, and so she decided she would try it. She did it one day and said it was actually pretty cool, but then she decided she was going to be in the 6 a.m. club instead of the 5 a.m. club, which worked perfectly because she got up and did her thing and had to be quiet while I was doing my writing portion, and we would finish together, and then it became the 7 a.m. club, and then it's now the 8:30 club, and it doesn't involve a ritual anymore. So it's not for everybody. You know what? Dorothy wants to be a better Dorothy, but she's not driven the way that I am. Seldom do two people come together in a marriage and have it last and be that. So that's okay. But if you can find any overlap, and what it will do for your kids is amazing. Like anybody here that has kids that doctors are trying to shove drugs in, this will work better. This will work better. Even if you get them to do it for 15 minutes, 5, 5, and 5, and do 3 things. So Anybody else? My 3 things. Ooh.
Crossover.
3 things in the morning, 3 things in
I
the
love
day.
that. I
All right.
do that every day.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're in 2 books now. You need to get your shit done. Anybody else?
Yes, I know I'm doing a creep.
Okay, one more here.
What was the I in the Y's method?
I'll just put it back up there. You can take a picture if you want to.
Yeah.
I don't have my phone.
But is there competence proven? Right, and there's so one lucky outcome does not make someone an expert. And I've seen this in the tech sector like crazy. Some entrepreneur will spin something up. He'll make something that looks really cool. He'll sell it off. And then after he does that, people will fucking throw money at him, and everything else he touches is dog shit. Anybody know about the guy, Gary Dahl, that made the pet rock in the 70s?
Yes.
You know what his next product? Yeah, he made the equivalent today of $6 million off a rock with googly eyes and a box with a care guide. Okay? And a year and a half into it, there were pet rocks. I remember, I was young, but I remember them. They were in every convenience store and whatever, but they weren't his because anybody can glue eyes on a painted rock, right? And then in another year or two, the eyes were rotting off them and melting into microplastics into our gardens because people threw them out in the garden. So then he came up with canned earthquakes. It did not work. But he was actually a successful marketing executive all the way up into the early 2000s. But yeah, like one-offs don't work. And because, yeah, that's just how it is. So you want a track record of performance, not just a one-off.
Jack, could you put the screen up that has the savers and what
Yep.
saver is?
Yep.
I could take a picture.
And anybody that wants a copy of that deck or whatever, I'm happy to give it to you. Okay, I'll do that.
Oh, that's great.
It wants to fight me now.
Son of a...
Come on, man. All right. There you go. Silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, scribe. I totally lifted the framed formulas from Hal Elrod in my new book.
So
I'm like, I can do that shit too.
journaling?
Yeah. So in Elrod's book and in Shawarma's book, that is literally like journaling. For me, the way I adapted that, like I said, during my meditation, I'm also journaling. So when I come up with like this brilliant idea and I realize, okay, that's a great idea, and it's pulling me off of just being chill, I just pick my phone up, open notes, and I just I'll just state a phrase, shut it off, put it down, and go back into that focus. That's my journaling, right? But I think journaling is very valuable for people. I don't need to, because what I'm doing with that next hour is I'm writing a book. That's an hour of journaling, right? So that I don't need to be doing that. That's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. What is it you want out of improving yourself? And then tailor this to that level of improvement and make it work for you. So if you can do an hour, do half an hour. Imagine getting up every day of your life for 30 minutes and focusing on yourself. What if that improves you 1% a month, right? That's 12 point something percent a year because it compounds. Do that for 5 years. If you really think about it that way, I don't think you can afford not to do something like it. Go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, for the journaling side of things too, I found there's a couple different companies that make them. One's called Best Self Co, and there's another one I'm using right now. But it's a journal that's a daily schedule. So it's like in the morning, it's like 3 things you're thankful for. Also, here's today's schedule.
Yeah.
Also, here's things that need to get done. And the evening is, did you get it done? What lessons did you learn? So it's like a journal, but I'm the kind of person that I get up in the morning, I have one thing to get done, and I get it done, and then I'm like, I was supposed to do other things today too. What was it? Oh, I'm going to do this thing that has nothing to do with making my business or me better, and it's 6:00 p.m. now, and time to go, and I'm like, what the hell did I got that one thing done.
Yeah.
So when I do that journal, when I go, what is it I'm supposed to do? I go look at the page, and I go, aha, that's the next thing.
So you're function stacking.
And so, yeah, I can't focus.
Yeah.
I don't remember the thing. So if I write it down, then that's really helpful.
Yeah, and in contrast, I actually write in a book that has no structure. Any thoughts that come into my head, and sometimes it turns into I got a brain dump and emotion. Sometimes it's I have to figure out how to structure the agenda for this workshop or whatever. Like I just do a time of journaling.
So it could be anything.
It can be.
Just the fact
You
of-
should figure out what works for you and look at different journal options.
Okay, I'm going
And there
to,
will be people who say this is the only way to
there are
journal.
things I don't want to reveal yet, but I'm going to read something to you
That goes with everything.
from the North Star framework about journaling.
No, he intentionally.
Yeah, you can't see the rest of the document. Daily journal. If you don't know what to journal, something concerning, whether it's global or personal, something that happened that you noticed the day before, something you're grateful for, and perhaps a quote that inspires you. Now you can have something to journal, because I was going with, like, some people, if they try to do what Nicole does, they would look at that blank page for 20 minutes and go, I guess that's my 20 minutes of journaling, because the brain won't come out. Go to ChatGPT. You are a high-functioning coach to people, like describe yourself, executive professionals, whatever it is. You believe that journaling every morning is a positive thing for people. Here's where I am, what's going on in my life. Provide me for the next month one question a day, questions I can use to start my journaling now, and write down and answer it. Right, that gives you a starting point. Okay, we're on time. Thank you, guys.
I remember 3 of them. Something concerning,
Yep.
something that changed, something you're thankful for.
Something concerning, something that happened, okay? Something you're grateful for, and a quote that inspires you.